everyone, welcome to the August vlog of 2025. I was going to say for them for a moment. Let's start this one by going to a farm, because my family have an obsession with farms. Not my idea, but let's do it.
I want to shop the capybara.
You nearly ended up in pram then.
I touched it where I didn't want to touch it. I touched it where I didn't want to touch it.
Oh, it's running out.
I really hope that don't mean something inappropriate.
That one doesn't like swim through. It does. You greedy, eh?
Oh yeah.
Alright, Jesus Christ. No, that's some. I'm glad I carried on video in here. So let's go, alright? I haven't got none.
No, don't even throw it.
Oh, you look right fed up.
No, you don't need to throw rocks.
It's a cow.
Wouldn't you be if you couldn't see?
Put the rock down.
It's a hair up his
Baby
nose.
horse.
You look fed
Pony, what do you want to call them? Oh, little miniature ones. No, it's a baby one.
What is?
Yeah, it's one of them, miniature. No, it's a baby.
And we are back. Quite an interesting little experience. I guess if you've seen one farm, you've seen them all. But for now, in this vlog, we are of course looking at this month's editions of the Hashit Parkworks Build the Dalek. And to start off this month's Dalek pieces, of course, we do have a new binder. It's exactly the same as the one we got before. However, this one wasn't free. The first one was free, which is fine. But like I said, you're going to need these anyway, so part of the collection. So I purchased them. Obviously, I don't ask them to take it off or anything. Pretty nice binder, and eventually, I guess, when the Dalek's finished, it'll stand where this table is stood, and I'll have these up on a shelf nearby as part of the collection, and I can just read the magazines if I so pleased to go through all the articles again. So yeah, pretty nice. We are starting off with issue 27 this time, because obviously we stopped at 26 last time. And it is a great big box, and the magazine is unfortunately bent. Hopefully I can unbend that. But still, let's take a look at what we have in the first issue of today. Right, so we're just opening up this nice, great big The Dalek box. It's almost like a treasure chest, I guess. And let's see what we have inside. Okay. Might be really important later on. Just put that to one side. Okay, so let's take a look. We have one pack, 2 pack. Okay, great big thing to justify the packaging. Some AP screws. And another piece of cardboard, which I'm sure will become very important in the build later on. Okay. These boxes are very handy if you're selling things on eBay, and you can package them out with the Dalek written on the top, eh? Not really. And voila, this is what we've got in this package. It looks to be the sort of back section to this, I believe. And of course, we have a little brace, which I think has a bit of greebles on it. Don't know if you can see that on there. And of course, 2 great big long cable sections with a circuit board and clip and thing attached to it as well, which I'm sure will be important as we go on. There's 2 of those, and of course our screws inside the egg cup as we go. Alright, so according to my book over here, which you cannot see off a frame, we are first of all going to be attaching this to this through the back. Yeah, it says fit the trim into the channel down the middle of the frame. Okay, so adjacent parts are fixed later. Okay, so we are literally just taking this, which I'm assuming that you don't even see once the Dalek's finished, yet it has detailing anyway. And we're pushing it into place with a very satisfying clip, I would imagine. Okay, so that's now fitted in, and now it says we have to take our circuit board frame thingy here, which I'm guessing we will just undo slightly but keep everything else wrapped up until we need it. And we are putting this way up, downwards. It's very well sorted, I'm not going to touch that. Very careful with it. And we are putting it into place onto these corners of the assembly, essentially. I think there's one on each side. There we go. Okay, so those are in the right place with some loose cabling coming off of it, which is quite long, so I assume it's going to be like down the Dalek into a control board somewhere. Very good. This actually looks like, this section here looks metal, but it's actually plastic. But it looks very convincing, especially on camera. Even can't even speak, to the human eye, that looks pretty good. Very good. But that is essentially all we do for the first section of today's part of the build. So let's go on to the next part, which would be part 28. Right, so this is the box for this particular issue, for the next part. And it looks like we're working more on the next section. However, of course, this is part of the next section. So I'm guessing essentially this fits onto there. But let's take a look at what we have in this box, shall we? Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have one Weebly bits. I don't actually know what's in these. Another one. FP and AP screws. And what looks to be another piece of detailing and neck thingy, I guess. I don't know, that's a guess. But anyway, there we go. Right, so these are the pieces we have. And I think, first of all, we're attaching these kind of braces to this in, I believe, this side and that side. Yeah, just kind of reading the instructions, you're okay. And I'll get to that now, and we'll see the completed work afterwards. Can't see that one. Okay, brilliant. So that's all now threaded in. Just need to put in 2 FP screws, I believe. 3 in fact, down here to better secure it. And then I believe we have a bit more to do. So, okay, let's carry on. Okay, so now we're just fitting in a few more of these flange screws into another section I've added on, another one of those plastic braces, essentially. I say plastic because why would it be anything else, really? Okay, so just putting that in. Because apparently, according to this, once that's in, we are actually going to be unraveling these cables and threading them through the back of this brace here, and then this is a section that fits over the back of this. So even though this is like detailed and so on, you won't see it unless you're obviously examining the Dalek model close up, which is a very nice attention to detail. Now I'm just making sure that there isn't any kinks or a lot of stress on the cable, because it's so thin, you know, you have to be very, very careful with it. So I'm just making sure, like, there we go, you can see like a little kink or a little curve in it. We want to make sure that there's none of that in there. It's quite long. It's very, very long. In fact, it goes from the desk almost to the camera, which is a good, I don't know, maybe 3 foot away, zoomed in slightly. Yeah, you know? It's quite long. So let's thread it down through this square here. And then it says to thread it down, yeah, sort of between these little slats here. I don't know if you can see them on the camera. Very carefully, of course. And then, of course, stop saying of course, thread it through the bottom section here. And we pull it through very, very carefully. Like I said, we want to be very cautious with everything. We don't want to make sure we don't break anything. There we go. So that's now threaded through. We're going to just carefully put that. There's a little slat there. I'm not sure if you're supposed to do that, but there's a little slit here in the plastic. I've put it through there. Okay. Doesn't say to do that, but I've done it just for the sake of protecting the cable. Okay, so now of course we are fixing this to this. I'm just going to make sure that is actually in there like that. There's no stress up here on the circuit board, and then of course this. So yeah, we're going to fit this into these holes that are sticking out of the side of the plates we put in. If it doesn't go in, it's likely that I got it upside down or backwards or something. Wow, okay, my finger's trapped. There we go. Oof, push it in. Good, fits nice and neat and snug. I like that. Fits perfectly uniformly into there, that's pretty good. That is the completed work. Of course, we still have this one all wrapped up here, but still, that's the completed work for the second part. Right, so we're now looking at part 29. Okay, there we go. Right, so here we have, let's just open it straight away, I guess. We have 2 bronze braces, right there. JP screws, always a new type of screw. And, okay. What looks to be part of the Dalek's neck piece, which is good. You can actually see through it. Which I guess is how they see through the Dalek costumes, isn't it? Interesting. Okay, so it looks like first of all we are going to be just kind of fixing this onto here. Very similar to how we did the other one, except it's a bit harder to see. There we go. Just like that, nice and flush. A bit popping out, but I'm guessing it has to be fitted into place with its screws. But that feels pretty interesting. Okay, so it literally just says it's a fit the grid over the photosonic screen. So that thing we just applied before, this underneath this is a photosonic screen. Everything is canon and labelled in this build, and that's what I really like about it. So I'm not sure if these are particularly going in any direction. Nope. Okay. So they do go this way up though, and not that way up apparently, and they fit onto here. So this is plastic. I would have expected parts like this to be plastic on the Dalek, because of course, as we know, the dome is all plated in die-cast metal. That's die-cast metal, right? We're not sure in the community of the builders who built this if more of the Dalek's going to be die-cast, or just the dome. It'd be a bit strange if just the dome was die-cast, but if it is, I guess it's an interesting feature. But it would be nice if more of this model was made out of die-cast metal. But we'll see as we go along. If not, that's fine, totally fine. But it would just be nice. Okay. Right, and so that is it. We've connected the two rods, which, regardless of them being plastic or not, do look pretty shiny and pretty convincing as metal from distance and on camera. Pretty good, isn't it? Very, very nice. So yeah, that's the completed work for this issue. Okay, so for this part, we have this little box here. So we're just going to go ahead and open that up and put that away, very, very sharp, and have a look. So here we go. Right, let's move this out of the way. I need a bigger desk. What I need is a camera with a wider frame. But anyway, let's take a look. We have the neck rings. We are starting to build the neck rings, which again are plastic. It would have been nice if these sections were metal, but like I said, it's such a small, well, not a small piece, but it's a very recognisable part of a Dalek. But it's an opening section and so on. I know this is for the back of it, but I understand, But still, it would have been nice, but I'm not disappointed anyway. Put it that way. I mean, look how shiny that looks. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but that looks pretty good. It looks like metal anyway. Kind of fits together as one piece. I think you're supposed to put them together. That one's actually already together out of the box. So, yeah. Okay, and we've also got... let's take a look. There we go. Looks like two clippy things. Right. So, I'm really, really, really excited to see what this looks like. Even though it's one section, we're going to see what it looks like. Because I've been looking forward to actually building this part of the Dalek, which is the neck piece. I'm actually, from some of the parts I've seen coming up in the next issues, we start building the skirt. But it would be nice to continue this, but I get what I can take, Okay, so this is actually looking really, really interesting, really, really cool at the moment. So I'm just putting these FP screws into here. Okay, it's nice and tight. Oh, that one feels a little bit jiggery pokery. That one's fine. Oh, no, wait, hang on. There we go, that's better. Wasn't exactly 100% tight. Okay. These little things on here, which are those sections that go over the top of here, so we're just going to fit them into these holes, apparently. Wait, do they have... Wait, hold on. Don't want to rush to it. Because that one has a number 2 written on it. And that one also has a number 2 written on it. Never mind then. Okay, we're good. And then push this one into that section there. And then, hey, voila! We have an entirely new and second half completed portion of the Dalek, which is of course the back end of that, which it does say that is the completed work for part 30, which is unbelievable that we've got to 30 parts of this now. That's very, very detailed. Look at that. Absolutely loving it. Brilliant. That's the completed work for this vlog, this month, on the Hachette Partworks Dalek. So I am doing a little bit of a change around with my displays and everything here, but before I can finish it, with all of the figures all over the place here ready to go on display on this bare shelf up here, apparently my family and everyone wants to go out to a zoo this time, so more animals, not a farm like earlier, a zoo. What is their obsession with animals? But anyway, let's go do it.
You should see anything.
Can't see it.
I'm taking a picture of a sushi.
Hello.
I guess not.
Are you ready to see it? Oh, boy. Sophie's got your head. Is it a chameleon? Is that a chameleon? Change not wrap the glass.
Through the rammers, it don't work.
Flamingo. Are they pink? Yeah. Why do we wear mouse?
Hey, dude. You're totally awesome, Squirt.
Well, it's keratin on the outside, so they feel for their shell, and then it shows their spine and their bibs fused into a box.
What is it, Aria?
Got some knickknacks on it.
Are you doing that?
A new wave of Daleks has been released. As we know, there's a History of Daleks collection going on. And after a bit of trouble trying to find it in 3 different stores, I finally found it. Eve of the Daleks, the 2022 edition. The episode with Jodie Whittaker where they had Gatling guns on the end of their stalks. Different paint scheme as well, slightly. They're like a bronzy colour, these are more like brown. But yeah, finally found it, very happy to have it. And I'm going to add it to the collection. And there we have it. They have such a chocolatey kind of like unique style to them. They look very, very brown. It's like a bit similar to this Dalek as well, which came from the same series actually, or same era. But very, very menacing. And I didn't actually notice this when I was looking at some of the promotion stuff for these, is that the ID tags there, you can see underneath the eye stalk, are different on both of them. Which is brilliant. Just keep that still. And they actually do kind of look like metal, even though they are obviously plastic, but very, very nice attention to detail. And the little Gatling guns as well, as you can see in the claw, instead of a plunger on both of them. Love the Gatling gun, it's awesome. Very shiny as well, very sparkly they are. It's brilliant.
Why you put it under the bowl?
Don't matter. You know you're supposed to give dogs room temperature water.
So boiling hot
You're
water.
not supposed to do that water, cold water.
Oh,
Don't know.
shock to the system, innit, I guess.
So have them just room temperature.
I will pick my chair. You feel as you see it. No. Yeah. Thank you. Ella, do you want a drink?
George, come here.
This is nice and cold. Ooh, nice and cold. Listen with George, up there.
I've only got the back of her head.
If you let him.
From a booming bass to a miscellaneous song.
Ella! That's it, push on there.
There's your picture of the head in the sand.
Okay, so I draw your attention back to September of 2022. And now I have moved on to this, which is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4. Yeah, almost forgot the name of it there. I have been looking at this phone, or this series of phones, for some time. Right, so that was in September of 2022. It is now August of 2025, a month before September, obviously, and I've decided to be quite consistent with this and upgrade. So we do have the same phone you see on screen there is this phone here. I've had it for 3 years, obviously. Almost 3 years anyway. And it's been a good phone. It's definitely had its perks. I mean, we had to get this repaired, and we had an entire thing with the company that repaired it, saying that it wasn't under warranty when it was, and we had to go to the ombudsman, and they ruled in my favour, and I basically got it fixed for free and so on, which is what I was supposed to do in the first place. So yeah, as you can see, it is the 18th of August today. So yeah, that's the same phone as you see on screen. Nothing really has happened to it. Can't really open it with one hand, but it still unfolds and everything. So yeah, it's time to upgrade again 3 years later. And pay no attention to my blank displays. I am currently redoing all of this. So, as a surprise to nobody, I have upgraded to the Fold 7. So I've skipped 3 generations, or 2 generations, and got the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, or Z Fold 7, as we say here in the UK. It's much bigger, as I can tell with the box, and apparently it's much thinner, better cameras, better everything. So let's take a look. So it has been a few hours since I did that last clip you just watched a second ago, and I can just show you the comparison between this is the Fold 4, as you can see, quite thick, so it's 3 generations back, and this is the Fold 7. As you can see, it's less than half its size in just sheer width. This is like a brick compared to this, and when it's open, it is almost like a piece of card. Like, I need to get a case for this. As you can see, it barely shows up on camera. Well, it does, but just look how thin that is. Unbelievable. Cannot believe how thin that is. It's also like closing a book rather than a phone this time, because before it was rather narrow. Now it's like a normal phone. So moving on to something else, I have actually managed to fix that display I mentioned a moment ago and put up some of the miscellaneous figures I have in my possession. This isn't all of them, it's just the ones that will freely stand, apart from the fact that the Figmas have their own stands, as you can see. But no, these are more of the sort of on the higher end kind of figures, sort of. Some of them aren't, some of them are. I mean, that right there is a topper that goes on top of a cup, a cinema cup. But you know, they're the nice ones. We've got all sorts of characters from various different franchises. So I've had this PC for maybe 2 years, might be a year and a half, something like that. And not once has it been cleaned, which is disgraceful on my part, I know. So I've gotten hold of one of these air dusters and some microfiber cloths, and I'm going to go ahead and clean it because the CPU is overheating just slightly, so it's probably due to dust. I can actually see it. I don't know if you can see it on camera, probably not, but it needs cleaning, so that's something to vlog, I guess. Dust going everywhere. Careful with this cloth as well, not to get trapped in any components. We're good. So it's actually been a week since I got the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, and I have to say that it's an absolutely fantastic piece of equipment, or phone, whichever you want to call it. It is brilliant. So I came from, as you know, the Fold 4, which has a floppy case on it at the moment, but I came from the Fold 4. As you can see, just the size difference is the biggest upgrade, I believe. But of course, it isn't. One of the biggest upgrades, of course, is the processing speed of this phone. It is much faster, it is much smoother, and it is much greater than the Fold 4. So you can see where I'm coming from. I'm not just coming from a Fold 6 to a Fold 7, I'm coming from a Fold 4 to a Fold 7, just to reiterate that point even more. So everything also feels much more refined on this build, or this version. It's much thinner, as I've said, it's much sturdier, and just the overall sort of quality of the build is better. It's got a tighter hinge, it just opens easier, you know, it's like flat. It does look like it has a bit of a curve going on, but it's not. It's actually the case. I actually thought that maybe it's curving a little bit, but it's not. The case makes it look like that. It's a bit strange, but still very easier, much easier. Well, it is easier to open with the case on. I must admit that without the case, it is a little bit fiddly trying to open it, but with the case on, it's much easier. And of course, the case that I did get is a very thin, lightweight sort of transparent case with a privacy screen on the front, so anyone looking over your shoulder, even with the always on display, cannot see, you know, what's on the screen. And of course, flex mode has also been very handy, where you open it basically like a laptop like this, and you can just sit it, or you can have it slightly laid back a little bit like that, and you can type on this either in your hand like this, or you can put it on a desktop and type with two hands. Very, very handy, and I've been using that to write some of the scripts for Season 2 of the rebooted version of the Monkcast. So that's been really handy. I normally do that in VR. I'll sit there with a keyboard in VR writing the scripts with a great big massive screen, rather than sitting here where you are looking at me right now at my desk. And what I know about this as well is that the battery size of this phone is apparently the same as the Fold 4. A 4,400 milliamp hour, I think, or something like that, battery between the two. And for some reason, they both... sorry, this one even, I lost my train of thought there. This one actually, even though it's got the same size battery, lasts a lot longer. I know this is older, but this one does actually last a little bit longer, or much longer than this one. Even when it was new, the Fold 4 had a bit of a battery issue, which is something I never really thought was a problem, because I'm not a massive phone user who will sit there scrolling TikTok all day long. I'll just kind of do it when I'm out sometimes, or use the phone for research and stuff like that. And multitasking is absolutely a must with this. It's absolutely fantastic. And of course the speakers are very loud and punchy. Not as loud as my partner's 25 Ultra, I think it's called. Hers has a bit more of a resonance chamber going on, because this is, as you've seen, very thin. So there is very much less, I know I was going to say that wrong. There is less resonance in this to make the, just drop something, to make this louder, or as loud as it can be. But it's still pretty good. And I suppose the last point, or last 2 points, is the fact that the cover screen is actually much wider. It's more usable like a phone. This obviously was very narrow, as you can see, but after a while, I think I mentioned this earlier, you get used to it. You get used to how narrow that is, and unless you see someone else's phone, you don't really notice it all that much. But when I moved to this, oh my goodness, was this a huge upgrade. The screen is wider and much more usable, and I can actually type with two thumbs or two fingers. I generally type like this on a screen for some reason. I don't know why. I just general preference, I guess. So yeah, much better in that regard. And of course, the cameras on it are a massive step up, or at least the main shooter is anyway. And I'll be using it going forward for these vlogs. Occasionally, I will use the camera you're looking through at me now, because it's still 4K. and it even shoots at 60 FPS, but I never have it on that setting. But this, I'll shoot the vlogs in 4K at 60 FPS for the foreseeable future using this, which I can just stick in my upper pocket, which I always have these shirts on. I'm going to stick it in there, and we're all good. But anyway, you've listened to me ramble on so much about a phone up until this point, and my language right now is terrible. I must have more sleep. You have listened to me ramble on for too long now about a phone. That's better, isn't it? Let's move on to the rest of the vlog, which I suspect there isn't much left of it anyway. So let's carry on. So I think I'm going to have to do a bit of another major change, and that is my PC, which is standing behind the mic here, is going to have to go on there. So that means I'm going to have to move the miraculous stuff, maybe somewhere here, if I can fit it on. And the PC is going to go on there for more ventilation, because obviously it's very close to the wall behind it. So let's do that now. And there we have it, much better, a lot more aired out. I have done some tests, some thermal testing, and it does seem to be a little bit better. However, I have decided that I am definitely going to replace the heatsink and the CPU fan in there, because I'm getting like 90 degrees Celsius, you know, thermal readings on the CPU, so it's not being cooled adequately. So I'm going to take it out, replace it with a new heatsink and a new fan, and also reapply the thermal paste, because that's just not acceptable, you know. And of course, we did move everything up here for the miraculous stuff. Looks pretty good. Light hits them pretty well. Like that, just like that. Nicer contours and shadowing and everything looks pretty good. The kind of thing I think about when I'm displaying things. Looks pretty good. That kind of breaks the immersion here, but what can you do? It's not a permanent setup, but it's good enough for now. And of course the Daleks over there. Still some miraculous dolls laying around everywhere. But yeah, pretty good. But with that, that actually brings me to the end of this vlog. So, like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. That's vlog over.